Hi, my name is Roy Canterbury, and I'm going to be a host today on Arch Talk 101. And we have Dwayne on the call with us today, and we're going to talk about some archery with him and what's going on in his world. Welcome to the show, Dwayne.
Thanks, Roy. Thanks for having me.
How about if you introduce yourself and tell us a little something about you?
My name's Dwayne Keller. I live in Hampshire County, West Virginia. I have bow hunted, competitive archery shot since I was probably 10 years old. Is when I started bow hunting. I shot competitive archery a lot through the 80s and 90s. Family got involved and kind of slowed my travels down, but uh, I was a dedicated bow hunter. I bow hunted only for like 20 years before I started using a rifle again. Uh, I caught COVID in 21. Uh, had a near death experience with that. I spent 7 weeks in critical care. I've now gotten strong enough where I can shoot 50 pounds. So I bow hunted last year for the first time uh, since I got sick. I was able to take a bear, a turkey, and a buck with my bow. So I'm on the mend and back to a normal life of bow hunting.
Well, that's good. That's quite a comeback from being that out of it and then getting back into it. And I know I'm kind of trying to recover to get back into shooting my bow. I went through a triple bypass in April and then I had to go back in and wasn't healing and put some plates in. And so right now I can't even lift my bow, let alone shoot it. So I'm
Right.
looking forward to a time when I can actually draw it back. And that might be a while because you know, I hunt at 70 pounds and I got them cranked down to 60, but um, I'm not even pulling that yet. So yeah, it's going to be a while when you get out of it and you get back in it. And hey, it's always fun. It's always there
Yes.
for you.
Yep. I had a pretty good support group. My friends and bow hunting partner, what have you. They all go with me. They help me in the woods. They help me get my animals out. Very blessed to have a network of friends. Um, I pro staff for Scent Assassin, uh, Trophy Tree Stand. Um, there's several. I can't remember them all. I'm sorry, fellas, if I forget anything. Antler Ice. They're products I believe in. They're products I use, and meeting people through them has been a great tool for my recovery per se.
Yeah. Well, I'll leave a link to in the description on those products that you pro staff for. Make it easier for everybody to contact them. It's products that you believe in, and hey, let's promote stuff that we use.
Right. Um, it's like Ramcat broadheads. I've shot them for about 12 years. Like I say, I've been bow hunting for, it's pushing 45, 48 years, and they're the best broadhead that I've ever used. You get quick, clean kills, lots of blood, good holes. They fly like as well as a field point. That's another product that I believe in and I use, but I'm not sponsored by them. Um, Bowtech Archery, Dart and Archery. I've shot them for many years, and that's my go-to.
Yeah,
Um,
there's a lot of good products out there,
there is,
and
you know,
it's always nice when you can talk to somebody that uses them and has an experience because the ads always say their product is the best in the world, nothing's better. But when you get
right,
out there using it, we want to talk to the people that are actually using the equipment and how's it working for you and that's what makes it nice when we talk about the products that you're using.
right. Yeah, I agree. I I've been pretty brand loyal through the years, but when it all started out, when they were I think Matthews may have started it with a lifetime warranty on a bow. You know, it if you can put a lifetime warranty on a product, I would say you got a good product. You know, and most of the manufacturers are doing that now. And I really don't feel that there's junk equipment out there anymore like there used to be. You know, everybody's everybody's stepped up their game.
Yeah, they have their, there are some of the early bow manufacturers that, really didn't make that good a quality, and they either got bought out or they just closed up. And sometimes they closed up because of, not because the product was bad, it's because, bad management.
Right,
And, there's some of those. And, um, a good example is crossbows. When they first come out, Barnett was and Horton was, if you want a crossbow, you got one of those two bows.
right,
And Horton, I believe they got bought out by 10 Point, or I forget now how that is, but Barnett's still around. But when I was working at the archery shop, Barnett's was at the bottom of the line piece of junk.
right.
Now they may have gotten a little better, but I take, put together a 10 Point, everything goes together perfectly. Put together a Barnett, and I'm fiddling around with this don't fit right. I'm trying to, I might have to file something to get something to fit. And it's just, it take me 3 times longer to put a Barnett together than it would a 10 Point. Of course, the cost was quite a bit different, but it just was not good equipment. Now, I don't know how it is now because I've been out of that field for, 5 or 6 years. So I don't know if they're any good or not. If hey, if somebody has some experience with the newer Barnetts, hey,
They're
let's talk about it.
they're very budget friendly, and in my area, a lot of people use them, and I hear nothing but praise over them. Honestly, you
Yeah,
know, at the price point, you can't beat it. They
yeah.
may not be as compact, may not be quite as fast or pretty as a 10 Point or Excalibur, or but for the people that use them in my area, they all seem to like them very well.
So it sounds like they must have stepped up their game and improved their quality because, there for a while, probably 6, 7 years ago, their quality was terrible. And they must have stepped it up because, like you said, that's why I like to talk to people out here that's doing that, because in your area, the Mardants are doing pretty good. So they must have stepped up their game, and,
I
be
think
worth
they had
checking
some
out again.
management change. They had some management change as well in the so I think that helped overall.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll do it. That's why some of the companies went out,
Yeah,
management. And, like, in the compound world, there's new bow manufacturers coming up all the time that it's like, I never heard of them. What's
right.
going on with them, and you talk to some people that are shooting them, and they're really good shooting bows. And I'm pretty much, my thoughts, I know my listeners heard me say this hundreds of times, but, if you're looking for a compound, put it in your hand. If it feels good, consider it. If it don't feel good, put it back. It's not for you.
Yeah, that's
And
advice that I've given everyone. Go to a big pro shop like Lancaster's or somewhere that has all the bows. Shoot till you find the one that you like. Your buddy
right,
don't like it, don't mean you can't shoot it. That's
right.
always that's been my advice to people that's starting out. Go shoot them
Well,
all.
and when I had a store, it's like I tried, I got to where I'd limit you to two bows at a time.
Right,
You had to decide which one you like better if we go to the third one and fourth one. One time, um, we had like 5 or 6 bows in the range, laying around. And finally, I says, okay, you're going to close your eyes. I'm going to hand you a bow and you're going to shoot it. And I'm going to hand you another bow and you're going to shoot it. You're going to tell me which one you like better and why. It's like, okay, because he couldn't decide.
right,
Shooting all these different bows, couldn't decide. It's like, only do two at a time. You can make this, you like this one better, that one better. And I'd ask why. I didn't care what his answer was. It didn't matter to me. It's just, okay, which one you like better and why? Because maybe it felt a little better, maybe something a little different, little fine point. And most of the time I'd have them shoot their eyes closed. we're up, close to the backstop where you can't miss it, because it was a 4 foot by 12 foot backstop that you couldn't miss. So, uh, with your eyes closed, your mind is going to feel the difference between them. And it just got down to where that and finally narrowed it down to the one he liked the best. But,
Yep. That's
since then, it's like, no, I'm only setting up two bows. You're going to pick one of the two. Then we'll go find another one and
right.
set them up, because you're not
That's
going to
probably
decide with me.
the eyes closed thing. That's probably a pretty good way to start to try to pick your bow.
Right.
You're not concentrating on what my buddy said to use Hoyt, Bowtech, PSE, Darton. Uh, so I had a bear, and bear has came. They have come tenfolds in the last 10 years to the products that they had 10 years prior. And
Oh, yeah.
and people, they kind of stub their nose at them because they're budget friendly. Well, just because they're budget friendly don't mean that they're trash anymore. They're they got a good quality product, and it's friends' influence can sway you a lot,
Right.
especially when you're new. And it's not always the best advice what my friend says. So that's I kind of push toward go shoot something and find what you like, and not so much what the gang that you hang out with likes.
Yeah. And when I had to start, I was a PSE dealer for a few years, and I shoot PSEs. I do have a bear. When I was working at Cabela's, they had a bunch of returns, and I was able to get one that needed work and new string and other stuff. So I was able to get it really cheap. It was a $900 bow, just the bow, no accessories or something when it was new. And I got it really cheap, but I haven't even set it up yet. I got it
Right.
fixed. I got new string on it, but I shoot the PSEs. And even though
Mm-hmm.
I was really, really fond of PSE bows, when I worked at Cabela's, we had PSE bows, we had the Bowtex, we had all these other ones. And I never pushed the PSE bow. My thought was, I want the best bow for you. Now, I
Right.
happen to like the way PSE shoots, but I don't shoot the mainline. I shoot the Pro Series, which is
Right.
a completely different bows anyway.
Yep.
But I like to take for beginner and set them up in one of the ready to shoot packages. And when I had my store, the PSE Nova line or the Dan Fitzgerald line, it's the same bow, just his name on the limbs.
Right.
um, I'd set them up, and the package come with the rest, the sight, and a quiver. Sometime they're there for a while. They're coming with a stabilizer. I don't remember if they had a sling or not, but I made sure all of them had a stabilizer. Now at that time, 20 years ago, it was a $10 stabilizer. It's just
Right.
a hunk of aluminum, but it was something basically to hold the sling on. And then I took on top of that, I added 6 arrows with points. So now you had and a release. Now, granted, it was the low end $20 release at that time. Uh, but everything you needed except the bow case was in that package. One thing all there. And also taught you how to shoot. So you had everything you need to get started with. I didn't carry bow cases because the difference between me buying them wholesale and buying them at Walmart was about $5.
Right.
So I wouldn't carry the low end ones, the plain old ones that everybody uses.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't carry them because there was no profit in them. Because I'd have to mark them up more than what Walmart was selling them for. Now, if you wanted a good quality one, yeah, those ones are going to order in for you. But
Right.
um, I set them all up, had everything all ready to go, so they had nothing to buy except a bow case to put them in. Now I had some soft cases and stuff, if they wanted a soft case, but everything is ready to go. And that's how I think a beginner should start. Just
I
get a
agree.
package of everything right there. Now, later on, you're going to say, I don't like this sight. Go buy a new sight.
Mm-hmm.
Keep your old sight. I don't like this rest. Go buy a new one. The first thing you should upgrade those a release, because
I
those
agree.
$20 releases were junk. You could
Yep.
not shoot them right, but it give you something to go. And if you wanted something better, spend the money on a release. Buy all the cheap stuff, but buy yourself a good quality release.
That's great for a consumer too, especially starting out, because you're going in and you're spending less than $800 for a complete setup, where you can't buy a flagship bow for under 11-1200 now. So, if you're not sure you're going to enjoy the sport, or you're not going to enjoy shooting, then you don't dump out a mortgage for a bow. And that's probably a very smart business on your end by including everything.
Well, and you can't price compare because I had one guy one time call me up and says, "Hey, do you think I could set up the bow?" Because he bought one of the Nova bows from someplace. I forget where it was he bought it from. It could have been even Walmart. But he said, "Do you think I can set it up?" It's like, well, you can bolt them on, but do you know how to set them up correctly? And besides, if you bring it in, I'm gonna charge you $20 to set up your bow. Because you put it in a bow press, I'm charging $20 minimum. I
Right.
won't put a bow in a bow press for less than 20. And this is 20 years ago. And I says, and besides that, I'm going to teach you how to shoot. At that time, I was charging $100 an hour. Didn't teach you how to shoot, included with the bow. And he says, I'm going to take it back, buy it from you. Because they have the arrows that come with the shooting instruction. They come with correctly set up. Those low end bows, I could set them up with eyeball better than most people, even with tools. Because
Mm-hmm.
I'd set up so many of them, and I knew
Right.
exactly what to look for, and everything come all set up, and that's what you need for beginner.
Right.
Now, once you get
I
off the
agree.
beginner stage, now for me, if I'm going to look at a new bow, I don't want nothing on it. I want just the plain bow.
Same here.
Uh, well, one thing, I've probably got enough spare parts to put together 2, 3 bows anyway, with good quality stuff. And I'm gonna use my same release. I got a Carter Chocolate Addiction that I use. It's my handheld, and then I have a Scott release that's from the '90s that I still use when it gets cold. I still shoot both of them, and that's just where I always took the beginner, and I figured back then it was like $350 for a bow. You're
Right.
out shooting for $350. Now you're probably 2 or 3 times that.
Yeah.
Like you said, $700-800 for the entry level bow. Um, and my thought was, for one, if it's sitting in a closet because they don't like the sport, they got small amount of money into it as opposed to going out and spending 3 times that for a bow that sits in a closet. So once they're in it, they're going to spend more. They're going to come back. And besides, if they stayed in the sport because I taught them how to shoot and they enjoyed it, I'm going to sell them more products. If I try
Absolutely.
and push that high end bow, I'm going to sell them one bow.
Yeah.
If I sell a beginner that, I'm going to not only make them happier and they're going to shoot better. And once they get better, then start upgrading. One of the
Yeah.
things that, I suggested once they start getting tighter groups, so like you're holding them in the white most of the time, buy better quality arrows. Those groups are going to tighten up.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's starting out. It's you either love it or you don't. And
All right.
as far as I'm concerned, when you shoot your first tournament and you score high or you win one, it's just like going out and taking your first animal. You're instantly bit with the fever, and that fever can run rampant for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, and it's enjoyable. Um, you see on Facebook, you see a picture of Fred Bear with the caption, "Have you ever seen an angry person shooting a bow?" No, because it relieves stress. It you get to focus on what you're doing and not everything around you. It gives you a little time away from uh, the real world, I guess I want to say,
Yeah. Yeah, it
and
does.
it's great exercise. If you want to look at it as a health point, you're working your back, you're working your arms, your wrists, your elbows, your forearms, biceps, triceps. You're getting a good workout. Not to mention if you're doing 3Ds or hunting, the land travel that you're doing. Uh, it it's something you can do with your family, something you can do with your friends, or something you can do by yourself. I find great joy and peace in shooting myself.
Yeah, and you can start off with kids, 5 years old.
Yeah.
All my kids started out with, about 5 years old with a 5 pound bow, is one of those cheap compound bows. They're only 5 pounds, and with the little safety tipped arrows, and they're
Mhm.
blunt. So even if you put your hand on them, you're not going to get hurt. Like the pointed ones they have now.
Right.
And they just all start off with that, and then you're going to shoots with them and shooting in the backyard, and just having a lot of fun.
Yeah, I started mine out with one of the little red fiberglass bows. You know,
Yeah.
she was 3, and I had her going on, walking out through the woods with me, and she was flinging arrows at targets and getting her arrows, sometimes hitting, sometimes not. And then she graduated to one of the Bowtech Brave, or the Golden Eagle Brave, and then she went to the Diamond Edge, and now she's shooting a Bear Legit, and she's 19 now, or 18
Oh,
now, and she's taken 3 deer and a turkey with a bow. She When she has time to shoot, she loves to shoot with me. So we always I have a lease in southern West Virginia. It's about 4 hours from here. Last year, she took a really nice 7 point, which put her over the top. So she's looking forward to this fall and getting back in the woods and college, and her life is trying to decide what she wants to do with it. I just hope she still finds time for dad.
yeah. Yeah, there may be times when she's busy and don't have much time, but that's just memories that she's always going to have, and you're always going to have.
Yes, sir. Yep.
I think it was Ted Nugent said, "Hunt with your kids, so you don't have to hunt for your kids."
For your kids. Yep. My
Yeah,
grandfather used to tell my dad and my that all the time. Take your kids hunting. You don't hunt for your kids.
right.
Yeah.
Well, you know
So
where they're at.
it's sound advice, or it's a good. It's true. That was one of the things my parents used for punishment for me when I was growing up. They take my hunting privileges from me, and I'd have to stay home. When my dad and my cousins, everybody was out hunting, I was home. And getting wood
That's
into the house. Or
torture.
yeah, it was torture. Yeah, that was one of the worst things I hated. I'd rather take a beating than to have somebody say, "Oh, you're not hunting this weekend."
You only do that
It
once or twice.
it was effective.
Yeah,
It really was, because especially our buck season here in West Virginia, was Thanksgiving week, and school shut down. We had the whole week off for school. We could go hunt, and you're not hunting because you did this or that, and that would just kill me.
oh,
So I learned to behave.
yeah, yeah, that definitely would.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good deterrent for the somebody that wants to go and look forward to it, like sounds like you did, and your family just all big around going out and doing that as a family event.
yeah, yeah. I can remember when we were in our first home. I think I was 4 or 5 years old. I can still remember seeing my dad. He shot a Ben Pearson longbow for forever, and then he bought a Bear Polar XLT when they first hit the market. And I remember him in the front yard shooting, and I guess he wanted to get me into it, so he bought me a Bear recurve, which I shot from, I don't know, probably 8 or 9 years old till I was 12. It was 35-pound pull recurve. I don't think I ever did hit the maximum 35 yards or 35 pounds, but I was in the woods every time I got a chance with that thing, flinging arrows at squirrels and birds and deer. Never did hit anything, but I was having fun, trying to find my arrows afterwards. And then he bought me an Indian compound when I was, I don't know, I guess 12, maybe 13. And I hunted with it a couple years, and I had some near misses. Um, And then when I was 16, I got a Jennings Super T, and I shot my first deer with it. It was a spike buck, and it was I almost fell out of my tree stand. I'm not gonna lie, I got so rattled and so nervous. I had to sit down on the platform because back then, we're talking about early '80s, and
Right.
all I had was an old Baker with just the platform, and you had to hug the tree and shimmy up the tree and pray that it didn't slide on the bark, and you come sliding down. At the time, a safety belt was unheard of. And I remember shooting that buck, and I got so nervous that I had to sit on the platform, and I can still remember my leg just shaking underneath of me, because he didn't run about 70 yards and he piled up. But I shot him with a that Indian, or no, I'm sorry, the Jennings with a 2117 Easton Game Getter with a Wasp 3-blade cam lock, one of the old green ones. And I got a lung and his heart. And like I say, he went about 70 yards, and he kind of just stood up on his back legs and flopped over. And I was just, I was a mess, to say that. But I'll never forget that. Yeah, I've killed over 170 deer with a bow now, and a lot of them I can't remember, but I remember that buck. That's what started it.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember the old game getters and green shaft, and we had some
Yep.
that the front about 6-8 inches was silver. It
Yeah.
shot them so much it wore the
Two-minute straw.
anodizing off.
Yep. The old True Flights. I shot
Yeah.
some of those. I mean, I've shot about everything there was to shoot. But, it's and I laugh because I see younger guys that has found some of their dads that equipment, and they'll post on Facebook like, "What's that?" And it jogs a memory. It's like, man, I haven't seen that since like '90.
Yeah.
And you get to add in your 2 cents on what they have, and the evolution of archery in the last 20 years is just leaps and bounds. It's almost like rocket science. I remember in the '90s when we were shooting 3Ds, we were following the IBO tours, and we worked a 12-hour shift. I worked for Rubbermaid Company out in Winchester, Virginia, and we worked 12-hour shifts, and you could do shift trades. So we would work 5 12-hour days to get 5 off, so we could go to like Nelsonville and shoot, or we could run to Southern Virginia, West Virginia, New York, Pennsylvania, so we could shoot these 3D tournaments. And the things that we had back then, when bows first hit the 300 feet per second mark, that was our goal. We got to get faster. We got to get faster. We got to get faster. That way, our judging yardage, isn't so critical. And one year, I think I bought 7 different bows trying to hit that 300-foot mark, and I would get close, but I could never get there. But we weren't allowed to use rangefinders. We weren't allowed to use binoculars back then. You had the old flip cards so you could see where the kill zone was at. And
Yeah, I still got some of those someplace.
yeah, we done really well. Back then, uh, uh, we were shooting our hunting setups and scoring as high as the guys in the open class. Because it was a max 50 yards, whether you're shooting a scope and a lens, as it was for a pin shooter. And
Right.
we were scoring as high and some higher than some, that were sponsored. And that we got a big ego and a big head over doing that, and it's like, well, now you go out on a range, because I was out of it for probably 10 years, and I started going back, and I'm seeing guys on the range with 10 power binoculars and rangefinders. I'm going like, what's going on here? When they start allowing rangefinders, I thought this was the bow hunter guest sport, but now looking back at it, rangefinders were unheard of until like the 2000s. But as soon as they came out, we had them. And they're a great tool. And I understand now, why they're on the IBO circuit, because everybody hunts with them pretty much anymore. So, and that was one of the things I liked about IBO is a lot of it was in hunting scenarios when it first started. The last ones I've shot, you got big cleared lanes, and back in the day, you didn't have so much of that.
Yeah.
It was you had to shoot through a little brush, or you had to look around and stay on your pin and try to find where you get a hole. I don't think now you even have to touch the pin, do you? You just have to be an approximate location of it. Because back then you actually had to touch the peg, and some shots were really tough. And we went to one local shoot, and the guy set his course up so hard. It was Nails Archery in Gainesboro, Virginia. That his shop, the guys that came to his shop, nicknamed his course Brutal. And that was the terminology around town. Hey, you going to shoot Brutal this weekend? Because he would have a 40-yard shot at a bobcat facing away from him, gives you about a 6-inch kill zone.
Yeah.
And you had about a foot hole at 20 yards to get an arrow through to 40 yards to hit this bobcat. And it was really challenging. And there was one guy that talked a lot of smack. And we went up there one time, and it was for a money shoot, and he bragged for the week that he was going to win it. He was going to smoke everyone. And on the 9th target, he had to go buy new arrows because he had done wasted all of his arrows on the course and couldn't find them. It just memories like that. We shot one in Stanton, Virginia. They had a 43-yard shot at a bear. It was on a junk pile, and there was like a 55-gallon drum that they had set the bear on top of. One of my buddies, we were like to rib one another like buddies do, and
Yeah.
we were picking on him, and he shoots his bear. Well, he hits the barrel under the bear, but the angle of the barrel ricochets his arrow up, and he donuts the 10 ring. And I'm like, who does that? How
Yeah.
do you get that lucky? But just little things like that. It made a lot of fun.
That's it's a fun part of going to the 3Ds with your buddies is, all the fun you have while you're doing the
Yes.
shoot. You know,
Yep.
and when you're going out, if you got four in your group of buddies, you don't care if you come in first, second, third, and fourth, or
Just go have
last on the
fun.
next to last. The four bottom. You're
Yep.
just having fun, and
Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, you're just out there having fun.
Right.
That's all you're doing, and that's don't get too worried about where you're coming in. A lot of the shoots they used to have, if you had 30 people, it'd be three flights. So
Right.
person number 11 got first, number 10 got last,
Right.
because they grouped you in, beginner, immediate, advanced, instead of just
Right.
separating them out. um you know I don't know if that's good or not, but it takes the middle of the pack and puts them in there, and y- you know that's just kind of one of those things, where um I can see their point in the fact that if you're not as good as the other guys, at least you have some kind of chance.
Right. The local shoots that I shot around here, you would go and you would have an A, double A, triple A class. And what I would see is people that were shooting, you go in and sign to what you think you're going to shoot. They had like a 30 range target, or 30 target range. Out of 300, you're going to shoot 270 to 300. That would go to triple A. A 250 to 270 double A, and anything under is single A. Well, I've seen people, signing up for AAA, and that were capable of shooting them scores. But one guy would come in that shoots that score every week, sign his name, and they'd all bail out to a lesser. Or if he would come in and sign up like on a single A, they would all bail and go to the double or triple A to get away from him over a $5 plaque and a $2 trophy.
Yeah.
I never understood that mentality. I always shot to make myself better. So the people that I shot with, I wanted to shoot with people that was better than I was to give me something to shoot for. And it made me concentrate and shoot harder. But the same four of us that used to shoot targets all the time. Once we all started getting a family stuff, our money that we spent on going to these big shoots or traveling or, you know, food, what have you, we would save. And we got a lease in Illinois, and we hunted that for roughly 10 years. You know, we all killed book bucks. One was lucky enough to kill a booner, and there was two others. Had they not been broke, they would have made Boone and Crockett. And then kids came, more responsibilities came, less money. So we all kind of like drifted away, and we still hunt local together. But I have one buddy that's on the lease that I share in southern West Virginia, that we get to spend a couple weeks a year together down there, and we see each other time to time here now. But you know, we're in our 50s, and now we're starting to get time, and we're starting to get a little money again. So maybe, you know, who knows what tomorrow brings. Maybe we'll start shooting big shoots again, or traveling to hunt some more. So
Yeah, it kind
it,
of sounds like a, a good plan that you guys did. Instead of going to the big shoots, get yourself a lease so you can hunt together. And
yeah, yeah, and it equaled out. You know, instead of being going every weekend or being home away from home for 2 weeks at a shot, because you're either work or you're away shooting somewhere. You know, all that money that we spent, we rolled it back over, and you know, we could all go have a good time for X amount of days to hunt something big. Then, you know, like everyone, once you start hunting big deer, you get that competitive edge. Well, I got to kill a bigger one. I got to kill a bigger one, a bigger. And it comes to the point where, for me, I don't know if anybody else is like this. It kind of took the fun out of it for me. So I dream of killing the 150s, 160s, 170s. But you know, my ideology now is, if I see a buck and he excites me, I don't care if he's 50 inches or 200 inches. I'm going to smoke him. You know,
right,
if he has, you know, each hunt is a trophy to itself. You know, decoying a buck in, calling a buck in, watching a buck fight, you know, watching a chase and him break off. If he excites me, he's going to get an arrow, and he's going to be bologna and jerky. You know,
yeah. Well, I generally hunt for the does, and if a buck comes by, then great,
right,
because I want the meat,
right,
and you don't eat racks. You can't eat the
right.
antlers.
We
You-
don't go buck hunting till November. So late September and October, that's the freezer filling days for us. And then when we go to our lease, we have a 125-inch minimum. You know, and I think we have 6,000 acres. We took 5 bucks off in the last 3 years that went over 125. We have 3 140s and 158 point. So I mean, you're still in the game, but you're not. You know, as I don't know if you're familiar with southern West Virginia. I've hunted Montana, Colorado, Wyoming, and honestly, I don't think I've ever hunted out there anything steeper than what I'm hunting in southern West Virginia. The the hills and valleys are really steep and rugged. Not real high elevations. About 2,700 feet is max, but there's a lot of benches and troughs. And being on oxygen, it makes it really hard for me. So I hunt the outskirt edges and the creeks and the hollows and things where I don't have to climb. I'm a little at a disadvantage, but we still have fun, you know, and that's what we're coming back to now is having fun and enjoying the sport more so than the competitiveness of it, because it takes, to me, it takes the fun out of it, being so competitive in the woods. It's time for brotherhood. It's time for celebration. You know, it's time to enjoy your friendship, not I'm going to kill a bigger buck than he did. I lost a lot of um, I lost a lot of desire because of that mentality. You know what I mean?
Right.
I got caught up in it, and I lost a lot of desire. But the desire to hunt and to satisfy my own wants and needs, I've never lost any of that.
Yeah, that's that's something that, when you get hunt with your buddies and then, do it while you can is, one of the
Exactly.
guys you used to hunt with all the time, he's not around anymore. So,
Right.
I can't go hunting with him because he died. So, um, you just gotta, had fun, spend the time and you got the memories of the hunts and, there's a lot of things for that. And, me, uh, I'd rather shoot a doe than shoot a buck. Although the bucks do have nice handles to drag them out with, but uh, but
there's little tricks for the ladies too that make them a little easier to get out.
yeah, yeah, little roping helps,
Yeah.
or a cart.
Yeah.
Yeah, just put on a deer cart and
Cards. Yeah.
yeah, those make
Uh,
it nice. But
I uh I only hunt now where I can get my ATV in, so I can't. I was only left with 20% of my lungs after the scarring and the tissue damage from COVID. So out of that 20% of my lungs, it supports 40% of my oxygen needs, and my oxygen bottle takes care of the rest. So when I'm inactive, it honestly, I have enough oxygen that I don't need any help from with the oxygen. But whenever I walk or I try to do anything, I'm very limited. So a piece of rope in my ATV makes it a whole lot easier to get things to my truck.
right,
And I have a small cart on the truck where I can just I'm I'm strong enough and able enough to pick him up and put him on that cart and ratchet him in, and I don't have to pick him up and put him in the bed of the truck any longer. So, but I have I have out of my four buddies that we've always stayed close through ups and downs or whatever. All any of us do. If we're in need, we pick the phone up and they're there.
yeah,
And I appreciate them because when I was laying in the hospital and my nurses and I'd ask almost daily, am I out of the woods yet? No, you still have a way. And then the chaplains were coming in, and it hits home, as it hits home when you're lying there not knowing if you're going to go home tomorrow or you're going to be out of that hospital bed. And when you get out, you get a whole new perspective on appreciation, or at least I did.
yeah,
And it's taught me a lot of it's humbled me a lot, and knowing that you need people, you know, and you can't do this alone. So I I don't know if you're a religious man or not, or some of the listeners are, but it uh, it brought me closer and got me more devoted, as a Christian. And it when I get to where I can, I hope that I can help someone else, you know, the way I've been helped, to bless someone the way I've been blessed. Is I'm here, I'm still here.
yeah, yeah. When you go through something like that, you got to think about it, and and if we can, you know, get that across to somebody that isn't going through physical challenges. Hey, spend the time with your friends and your family, because
Absolutely.
there might be a time when you can't, and not being able to do anything, and you still got stuff to do. You want to do it, but you can't do it, and you're just stuck. And um, I was doing stuff, and I had to just put my hands in my pockets because I kept wanting
Yep.
to dig in and help, and I
And
couldn't.
you can't.
when they split your chest open and you just got some wires holding it back together,
Yep.
and you split it, sent you back in the hospital. And of course, mine didn't heal anyway. I had to go back in here 3 weeks ago and pull it back together and put some plates in because it
And you
just
got to
wasn't
start
staying
all over
together.
again.
Got to start all over, and you go through the 12 weeks, and I was at week 10, and they went back in. So then 12 weeks start over again, and so I'm not doing anything. And the second time is a lot more pain with it. The first time, yeah, I didn't really hurt. So
Yeah, I was sorry to
I
hear
was trying
that.
to just, this time I'm not doing anything because um, I don't know what the option is next if I don't take it easy. So, I'm putting a lot of things off and not really do anything. And I do a lot more keeping my hands in my pockets and not trying to do anything. And it's
That-
I
That's
didn't
a
go through
tough
what
one.
you're going through. I'll recover from this, so I'll get back to, well, probably better than I was before because, I had three arteries that they had to do a bypass. One was 60% blocked, one was 70% blocked, one was 100% blocked. So I was running on about 20% of my blood flow, which a lot
Not
of
good.
things don't work very well.
No,
So
don't.
now it's flowing good. It's just gonna go through all the healing stuff. So, you know, if you got good health, enjoy it and spend time
Yeah,
with your friends and, while you still can.
yeah. I use my dad for an example. He's 80, and last year he was the one that killed he killed a 148-inch 8 point on our lease. He We started noticing last year he's in the early stages of dementia, and I'll be 56 tomorrow. And I've hunted every day of my life with him. You know, and I'm really praying that I get to spend this fall with him. But who knows? Who knows what tomorrow brings?
Right.
His health is failing, his brain's failing. And it's not slow. It's progressing pretty fast. But like I say, I've spent every day of my life hunting was with him, except for 2 trips to Colorado for 12 days, 24 days of my whole hunting career that he wasn't with me. You know, and it in my in our 3D tours, we he was with us. It just, you don't know about tomorrow, so be kind today. That's my advice to everyone. You don't know what the man beside you is going through. You don't know what kind of stress or things he has at home. I lost my nephew 2 years ago, depression, and you never know. You never know what somebody's dealing with. So we're all brotherhood. We all enjoy the same thing. We love archery.
Right.
So be kind. Don't bash your buddy because he's not doing this or he's not doing that, or enjoy him while you got him, because you may not. Tomorrow's not given. None of us have an expiration date stamped on our foot. You don't know when it's coming. Be kind and enjoy people.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
It's
definitely something we need to all think about.
Yep. Yeah.
So on
Go ahead.
on a little different note here, what's been your most memorable hunt you've been on?
Probably probably the first bow hunt with my daughter where she took her turkey. Uh, it was spring, and we had went and roosted a bird the evening before, and I had a little doghouse pop up line that I put up underneath of a pine tree, and I broke some limbs out of the way in the dark to where I thought she could see. So we get in there the next morning, get in the blind, and they start gobbling. They're on the end of the ridge from us, about 100 yards, and open the window up, and she's got a clear path. We start working a longbeard, and he's got a bunch of hens with him. Well, off to the side, I heard something, and I look over, and there's a Jake coming in to the decoy. And I asked her, I said, do you want to take him? He had a beard about 5 inches long, and she was all for, it's a turkey. Well, it's kind of sad but funny. The bird come in about 18 yards, and I don't think she was holding quite high enough. Well, when she shot him, she chopped both his legs off,
Oh,
and he went down, and he flopped a little bit. And I told her he was squatted down. I told her, I said, not, I said, shoot him dead center, and she shot him dead center. And I mean, you couldn't have walked over and placed the arrow any more perfect. But when she got out there, she picked him up by his head, and he started flopping her, and she throwed him back and yelled, and it that it like I say, it was sad but funny. But she hasn't missed a spring yet, So, and she doesn't. I have tons of guns, She has her own guns. She doesn't want to. She doesn't want to shoot them with guns. She wants to. She wants to bow hunt, and I'm all for that. That's probably my most memorable hunt.
that is a good memory of taking her out on her first hunt and being able to see her get her first turkey. And
Yeah, she was 12. She
well,
was 12 years old.
definitely got her hooked.
Yeah, yeah. If time's allowing, she's right by me. You know.
That's good. That's always a good time and good memories that you're gonna have spending time with her doing that. And I know she'll remember it for a long time as well.
Yeah. When I was 4, my grandmother she lived at the entrance of the property that we hunted, and she was babysitting. Well, my grandfather, it was he was severe diabetic. It was right before he lost his legs. I think I was 5. Well, he stops to he takes me to the woods with him, and we hunted a place. They always called it the log because it was this huge white oak tree that had fell across the road, and that was his favorite place to hunt. He would sit by that log, and he takes me out there, and we're setting, and I look over and I see a deer, and I jumped up and I pointed and I said, "Pap, there." And he said, "Well, I see it's time for you to go back home." Yeah, I was still a little too young, a little too noisy. I remember that. There used to be some guys from Parkersburg, West Virginia, that came and hunted with us, and two of the older fellas, one would walk the hollow, one would walk the ridge. They would make deer pushes, for some of the other guys. Well, they would each carry a bag of hardtack candy, and they would put me in the middle of them, and they would call me up and down the hill to give me candy. So I would zigzag the ridge, trying to help push deer for them. I have a lot of memories, of hunting. But I think my daughter is probably my most memorable.
That was kind of interesting. They give you some candy to keep you running up and
Yeah,
down the
keep me
hill.
going. Yep, running up down the hill for that hardtack candy. Yeah. How about
Yeah.
you? What's your most memorable hunt?
Oh, probably well, there's a couple of them. I know one time I had my youngest son, I took him out with me, had him all camoed up, put him in a tree stand next to me, and I'm in a ladder stand, and he's not old enough to hunt yet. And I've got him all camoed up, and I give him the call, and it says, "You call it. Yeah, you use it." You know, because the deer's going to hear it. They're going to either
Mhm.
come to it, run away, or ignore it. So
Right.
it doesn't matter. I said, if something's coming in like we want, just be quiet and look over. You couldn't even see him because he's all camo, mesh, and everything. He completely disappeared, and that was interesting. We didn't get anything that day, but that was I kind of remember setting up that ladder stand and him in there using the call, and we didn't see him that day. And then on the way home we just dove across the road in front of us, and it says, "Jerry, there's a deer over there." So I looked over there, looked back, and here's this buck right in the middle of the road, right in front of me, and I blasted the side of him. I was like, we hadn't seen any deer, and then we see one cross the road in front of us, and I look over, and then here comes the buck that was following it. It's like, oh man. So then of course we had to pull the bumper out so we can get home. And the guy I normally hunt with, he wasn't feeling real well, so he didn't go. So I call him up and say, hey Mike, I need some help. So not feeling well, he drove out and help us get going so we get the car going and get the deer taken care of because we smacked it pretty good. And yeah, that was kind of interesting that day. And don't see any deer until on the way home, and then I get one with the truck.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it was interesting. And you get a lot of stories on different hunts that you're on and different things you're on. And I remember one time Mike and I, we got this deer and we drug it back, and it's just really dirty. So we decided, we'd always hang it up and then, skin it out. And so we just sit there and took the hose and just hose it down because it's really dirty, and hose the inside out, hose the hide down. And went to pull that hide off, it just come off so easy. Just kind of almost separated from the meat. And ever since then, we'd soak a deer down and hang it, and the hide would come off real easy.
Huh. I have to try that.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you kind of discover by accident. And normally when you're taking the hide off, of course Nugent calls take his jammies off, but
All right.
it's real hard. You got to pull real hard, or you're cutting it, or some say they just tie a tennis ball to it and yank it off the truck, and all this other stuff like that to do it. And we always hang it by the back leg and then pull it down to the head.
Same
And
here.
after we after we soaked it, it kind of pretty much just pulls off real easy because it soaks the membrane between the hide and the meat. It just soaks it. It just all softens it all up, comes right off. You have to try
Yeah,
it
that's
sometime.
I will. I try to always skin mine warm for that reason because everything's loose and it peels off really easy. And if I'm going to hang them, I'll hang them with the hide off in the cooler. Yeah, I'll try that sometime. That's interesting.
Yeah, yeah, try that. It's one of those things you just kind of discover by accident. And it was just so dirty. We just need to hose it down because dragging it out, had leaves and dirt and
Yeah,
everything else on it. We just wanted to hose it down so we didn't have to deal with all the dirt and stuff in his garage when we had it hanging up. And we had a hoist, we'd hoist it up, and we'd all take all the hide off and then debone everything as we're going, and in the little buckets, and then take it in. All the bones are there, so now we had just the carcass and the hide, and then we'd get rid of that. And so that
it's
was
good
kind of
thinking.
one of those things you discover by accident. And I'm sure there's a lot of other little tricks that people learn,
Oh
and
yeah,
we try to pass them on. And
yeah, it's helpful. People finds uh little tricks to critique your process.
yeah, that makes it a little bit nicer. And that's what I like, talking to the archers, from all over the world. Everybody's got their own different things that they're doing differently. And um, I had one guy one time talking, I forget what they was calling. What I don't even know if I don't think it was a deer. I think it was, a duck or something. I don't remember what it is now. And they'd take like a dollar bill and they'd use that for their call. I'm like, well, that's interesting, except
Huh,
too easy for it to blow away. If you let go of
right?
your dollar bill, it flows away on you. But I would just fold the dollar bill in half and use that as a call. And that was kind of interesting. I never tried it, but I've got calls I need. So I don't really, I've got other calls that I use, so I'm not going to pull out a dollar bill and use that when I got, a call on the landlord, and I can just pull it up and use
Yep.
it, or pull it out of my bag and use it and set it down. If I drop it, it's not going to blow away. And
Yeah, I had a guy tell me one time that before everybody really got into rattling, that this one guy always came into their hunting camp and he had two china dishes and he would rub them together in the woods and it that he would call bucks in with it, simulating the rattling horns because he had never killed anything that had big enough horns to make rattling horns with.
Oh,
But
yeah,
he swore by them saucers, rubbing them together that the deer heard it and they came to it. I mean, he got a buck every year, so I mean, I can't dispute it.
yeah. Well, they're kind of curious, so they could
Right.
just be that it's sound. They're curious about what it was and come in looking.
Yeah,
But I suppose that would kind of sound like some antlers rubbing together or something.
I
Not the
guess I
banging
don't.
that you normally hear, but
It's something different.
yeah,
Who would ever have thought using a grunt call 30, 40 years ago?
yeah. And I had one time I was out hunting and I had um what sounded like it's kind of going Well, I just thought because there's duck hunters hunting, it's on public property. There's duck hunters out there hunting the river. Um, and I just figured it's one of the duck hunters. Can I get bored on duck hunting? I just start messing around with the call, just doing stuff. You get bored, nothing's flying, and what you can't hurt anything because they're not in the sky. So I just thought it was a duck hunter just messing around with his call. And next thing you know, here's two does come in and one doe was bleating, that sound like the doe bleat.
Right.
And so at that time in here in Nebraska, we had two tags, all I could get for archery. And so I would hunt only does until later. I'd take a buck, but I was mostly hunting does until I take a doe. And then I'd only hunt bucks until like December. Then I'd take whatever to fill the tag. Well, I'd already filled one tag, so I'm only hunting bucks right now because I don't want to fill my tag too early because I want to be out in the field.
Right.
So I get on my grunt call and I go, I just kind of, I'm not even a decent call. I just kind of, I kind of stutter in the middle of it. And the one doe that wasn't bleeding come running straight to the tree. I'm looking through my tree stand. I think it hit my pole rope. I just, like a paracord hanging out to
Hmm.
pull my stuff up. I'm looking through the grate of my stand at the one doe. She knew exactly where that sound come from. She come running in right to that call was. And I'm just looking down, it's like, oh. And the other one just kind of kept bleating as it's walking along. And I'm just watching them because I don't want to film a tag yet. It's still November time frame. So I'm going there and then and when I left, I told my hunting buddy that I was with, and he's, why didn't you shoot him? Well, wasn't any bucks. There I'm gonna fill my tag with the buck at that point. And that was kind of interesting how it just come running. It's standing right underneath the my tree stand. It just stopped
It's
right there.
funny how deer and turkeys have a good radar like that. 'Cause
Yeah.
I do a lot of spring hunting, and this one hunt, I was calling a bird, and he shut up on me. I was young. I was still learning, and I was like, well, I got to get closer to him. So I get up and I start down off a ridge into a hollow, and I stop and I look back, and he comes walking right by where I just left from, and I'm like, idiot. He's like 80 yards up the hill from me, and I'm like, that's why he shut up. He was coming. So I learned from that one.
Yeah, sometimes just stick around. And
Yep.
I know one time I'm in a tree stand, and here comes this little spike buck. He comes walking in. He's standing broadside to me. He probably give me for about 10 minutes, he give me all kinds of shots. Just a little spike buck. And I'm just there just watching what he's doing. Because I figure if a big buck comes in, he's going to tell me. So I didn't have to look for the buck because he was going to tell me when one come in. None
Right.
come in, but I just let him walk because I wasn't going to shoot that small of a deer.
Hmm.
Knowingly shoot a small buck. Um, I used to watch a lot of the hunting shows, and I could never figure out if it's a fawn or an adult or anything else because I was just new. I hadn't even seen many deer till one
Right.
time one of the shows actually made a mistake. They actually taught you something. A lot of the hunt shows then were just, oh, see, I shoot this big deer, I shoot this big deer, I shoot this big deer. Have all these places they shoot them, and they actually taught where you look at the nose and the back of their head, and where's the position of the eyes. A fawn, it's
Right.
halfway up. An adult, the nose, from the eyes and nose is longer than the eyes of the back of the head. And it's like, oh, okay. Now I know how to tell if it's a fawn or an adult.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't know those things until somebody teaches you. And
Somebody,
I had
yeah, right.
nobody that I knew that bow hunted or even really much more even deer hunted, let alone, someone to teach me. So me and Randy, we just had to figure things out on our own.
It's a lot of learning. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, now there's so many, with the internet now. There was no
Yeah.
YouTube then. There was
Right.
no Facebook then. There was no Instagram.
Yeah.
Um, our
Yeah. I got
Facebook
all,
was go stand in front of the person and talk to them. That was
right.
our Facebook.
I, uh, I couldn't wait till February till, they had the big outdoor show in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. It's a 3 hour drive, and we went to it every year. And I would save money so I could just go buy hunting videos, you know, how tos, uh,
Yeah.
Noel Feather, Dan Fitzgerald, Dave Embreeze, all the old guys. I bought everything they had, so I could watch, them shooting the big deer, but with them doing the videos, I also learned, their setups and stuff, which helped me a lot.
Yeah.
Roger Ragland, I watched a lot of his stuff in the early '90s and stuff, and he had a lot of good information. No, I never knew anything about a drag rag, a drag trail. I started watching his videos and I started trying it, and it started some of the things that they done actually worked for me. So I always kept them in my bag of tricks per se.
Yeah. It's amazing how they'll follow you in.
Yep.
Yeah, they're come in and they're sniffing the ground, and every place you walk, if you're walking in the trail and you go out and set something out, the next thing they turn out there and come back in, and I've seen some follow the trail and just stick their nose right up the tree.
Right up the
But
tree at you.
they follow right up the tree and looking up at you, and you don't dare move. You can't move or anything because now then, well, if you move and spook them off, you might as well get out of that tree and pull your street hand because they're next time they come by, they're going to look up again.
Yeah, I made that mistake a few times when I was using hang on stands. I mostly use a ladder or a climber now, but when I was using hang on stands, a lot of times I would squirt my feet with my deer lure, and I would walk it into my tree stand and go up the ladder. And like you say, I've had several come walking in and not give you a shot because the way I entered my stand, it didn't present me a shot, and they would come right to the tree and look right up at me, and then blow and leave. I'm like,
Yeah,
something's got to change here. So then I started carrying me a piece of rope and a piece of washcloth and a rag. And I kept it in the backpack. When I needed one, I had one.
yeah, and then
No more
drag it
spraying my
when you get to
boots
your stand, just pull it out and
and
so it goes
hanging in a
past and
limb.
hanging on a branch,
Yep,
so they go right up to it, give you that perfect shot, and
yep. It's a lot of learning. Uh, or even as far as come into my stand 40 yards out and make a circle back into 20 yards and then hang it there. So it gave me two shot opportunities if I needed it.
right, yeah.
So,
What's been your most challenging hunt you've been on?
black bears with no bait.
Oh,
They're
they actually do black bear with no bait. I've always heard them, baiting for bears.
yeah, West Virginia baiting's illegal. Uh, Learning the sign and uh, and the waiting, that's been a huge challenge. I've been lucky enough. I've taken four, and that's probably that's next to spot and stalk elk hunting in Colorado and calling. That's I would say that's probably my biggest challenge and hunt that was hunting bear without a bait.
So when you're, I know when they bait them, they get used to coming and eating all the scraps and whatever they
Right.
put out there for the bait. So I see that all the time. It's just, so what is it that you're doing when you're not using bait? What is it you're looking for on how to find them and track them?
Well, honestly, I find where they've been feeding. They'll feed, like, we have a lot of wild chestnut. We have persimmon. We have crabapple. And if you look in the woods when you do find a bear trail, you'll see like holes in the leaves on a straight line. And the bear, when he walks, he'll walk that trail normally within an hour of the
Here-
same time of the day. Every 2 or 3 days he'll come through there. And if you can find where they're feeding on chestnut or feeding on a fruit, you back the trail up, because they're not going to come till near dark, and
Right.
set up off the trail and wait for them to pass. You might eventually you'll have a bear come through on that trail, and you got more than one. But it's funny because when they walk, it's kind of like they take the same steps every time that they go. It's a different looking path than a deer trail. When you see it, well, that's a game path, but that's not a clove foot animal. It's not a deer.
Yeah, it always helps if there's a little bit of rain and have a mud print to see what it was that walked by.
Yeah, we had a lot of bears for about 6 7 years. We had a lot of bear. A mange hit them, and a lot of them died. But it was nothing. It was nothing to go out in the woods a few years ago and hunt 4 days and see three different bear in a 4 day hunt. You know, that's pretty challenging. And elk hunt in Colorado was pretty rough too.
Yeah, you got a lot of mountains to walk up and down in
Yeah,
Colorado
yes, you do. Yep.
and pretty high
And
altitudes.
yeah, we hunted where we hunted at was around 7,500 to 10,000, and it was dark timber and big meadows. And if you could find a water hole somewhere and lay up on a water hole, that's how I hunted them. I'd hike into a water hole and I'd set the day. I'd set through the whole day hoping to catch one in to come into the water hole or find a wallow. But I shot one bull, but I made a bad hit and I hit him above the spine in the tenderloin, and I lost him. That was my only elk encounter that I had in 3 years. We were hiking in. We set a spike camp in about 6 miles, and when we killed, I say we, there's 8 of us, and we killed one each year, but the pack out was just miserable because you hike down and you carry meat up. Like I say, it was pure
Oh,
brutal misery
yeah.
to get one out. One year we
That's
killed
what,
two, so it was twice as bad.
oh yeah. That's nice when you have 7 other buddies with you that help you carry it out.
Yeah, yeah, but everybody's got another 70 pounds on their back.
Yeah. Well, they're good sized animals, so there's a lot of meat in there.
A lot of meat. Yeah, yep.
So did you
And the
mostly
guy
debone
that,
it out then? When you
yeah,
carry
we
it out, you do it.
we took it all right down to the bone, put it in game bags, and hauled it out.
No sense hauling out the bones, right?
No need to carry extra weight. That's for sure.
No. Well, the animals will use it. They'll eat
Oh
the
yeah,
bones and gives them some calcium and whatever else nutrients, and
yep.
nothing goes to waste.
It doesn't. That
Something will eat it.
eventually, yeah. Um,
Your video is kind of cutting out there a little bit, and the audio was cutting out a little
Yeah,
bit. So I wasn't sure if
my
you're trying to say something or not.
my service. It's an overcast day, and I don't have the greatest service in West Virginia anyway. Um, I was just trying to think of something to talk about.
Yeah, looks like your service is, yeah, getting kind of
You
going
have
out. Um,
any more
what
questions or anything?
yeah, it's getting pretty bad here. So, um, and what are your closing thoughts that you would, you know, tell somebody that is either just starting out or has been hunting for a while or shooting archery for a while, and just kind of give us some parting thoughts.
Don't be uh, don't be hesitant to ask for advice because even professional archers get help and get taught. So if you're having struggles, reach out to someone that can help you, or use social media to find out things that will help. Uh, I I don't think there's any dumb questions. So if excuse me, I got a little brain fog. Uh, be kind to each other and enjoy what you have. That makes sense.
Yeah, your connection's getting really bad, but yeah,
Are
it's
you
yeah. Uh, so basically, don't be afraid to ask. The only dumb
right?
question is the one you haven't asked, because once you ask it, it's not dumb. It just ask those questions,
Exactly.
because if you have a question, especially, if you're in a group like Dr. Talk 101 Facebook group or any other group or any social media place, ask that question, because there's probably somebody out there that's got the same question that's just afraid to ask it. So ask the question,
Exactly.
because there are people out there that have a lot of experience. We've got
Yep.
in the group, we have hunters have been hunting for decades. We have bow techs have been working on bows for decades. We have archery instructors that have been teaching for decades. We have brand new archers that are going through different struggles. We have, archers that have been shooting for 60, 70 years in there. So there's somebody out there that's probably encountered the same problem that you're having. So ask it,
Ask it.
don't be afraid
Yeah.
to ask. And if you're having trouble
100%.
with something, you know what, now with the phones, just have somebody take a video of what you're struggling with and upload it to the group. We'll take a look at it, give you some pointers. Somebody
Someone
will.
figured out.
Yeah, someone's figured out that problem already. Because any problem you're having, it's not you're not the only one that's had that problem. There's somebody that's already had it
Exactly.
and solved it. So, get with us. We're glad to help. Whatever we can do, reach out to anybody and go from there. And we just want to make sure that you're shooting the best you can, because after all, who wants to go hunt for your arrows?
No
We're
one.
all going to miss once in a while, but my first 3D shoot, I was hoping I could finish with the arrows I brought. I had a quiver full of
Right.
arrows. I think I had 6 or 8 of them, and I was hoping I could finish the course. you know, I'd already down 3 arrows, and I think I was only in 5 targets. So because some point you can't spend hours looking for an arrow when you miss, because you got people waiting to shoot that target, and you're going to spend some time with it, and by the time you
And
get
there's no
done, I want to
mulligans
go
in
back and
archery.
look. Yeah. So buy the cheap arrows to start with, and then once you get a little better, buy the better arrows.
Yeah, you can always go up.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, if you want to Watch the video is available on the Arch Talk 101 Facebook group. You can also watch it on my YouTube channel, Learn to Fix It Yourself, as well as the audio part of it. The podcast is available on Spotify and other places that podcasts are hosted, as well as you can go out to audible.com and you can listen to it there. I have a lot of people listen to it there because once you get it up and link to it, you just bring it up and it brings up the next issue. So that's another good place to go for it. But if you have any questions, just contact me directly, or you contact Dwayne if you have any questions. For him, contact him. I'll leave a link in the description for the different things we've talked about, all the places, all the equipment that Dwayne is using and sponsored by. We'll leave a link to those, help you find it. Anything you can do, we'll just put some links in there and look for it. So this has been, a lot of fun talking with you. We always kind of learn stuff from each of us. It's a lot of fun talking to archers all over the world, and that's the part, like we talked about earlier. Just enjoy the sport. If you have a question, you know, talk to them. I know of guys that have been in tournaments and the person they're competing against helping them because they're struggling with something. So that's just kind of what you kind of expect out of archery. If you're having troubles, ask us. Be glad to help.
Yes, sir.
So it's been
Thanks for
great
having me
talking
on.
with
I
you.
appreciate it. You as well.
Yeah. My name is Roy Canterbury, and I've been your host on Arch Talk 101, and we'll see you on the next one.